T minus 5 minutes. T minus 4 minutes. T minus 5 minutes. T minus 4 minutes. T minus 3 minutes.
Going on, guys? Happy Monday. Figured since I'm ready, we'll go ahead and get started. Screw the timer. How's everybody doing? Everybody have a good weekend? Happy 9/11. I mean, not happy 9/11, but in remembrance of 9/11. Hope everybody was able to say a little prayer today and remember those who didn't make it through that tragic day. Very, very horrible day. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely remember where I was during that moment. What's going on, Robert E? How you doing, my man? So today we're talking about employment after prison. I know a lot of you are very concerned about what are your possibilities going to be once you're released from prison. Jacob Clark, weekend felt too short. I agree, man. It went by really fast. Yesterday felt like Monday to me. We were already getting a jump on the week. We had a lot of clients that came on board last week, so there was a lot of preparation for letters, templates, samples, getting everybody prepared. And unfortunately, a few of the clients that came on board are really under the gun as far as where they're at in their situation. Sentencing is very soon, but they're doing what they can do. Luckily, they found me when they did, so maybe we'll be able to get some information done for them. But yes, it was a very fast weekend. But I can't complain, and if you're complaining, find something to replace that complaining with. But it was fast nonetheless. So today, trying to focus a little bit on employment after prison. I get this question so often: what am I going to be able to do after prison? Am I going to be employable? Is anybody going to hire me? And it doesn't matter where you're at in your current situation. This goes for white-collar criminals, non-white-collar criminals, people in general that are getting out of prison are terrified of what they're going to do for work. I was also terrified. And you become more and more insecure about that and nervous about it the closer you get to your release date. Typically, what I found while I was in prison is, including myself and a lot of other guys in prison, we would all talk about all of the big things that we were going to do. Everybody had giant dreams while they were in prison. There wasn't a whole lot of preparation and planning for a lot of these dreams, but these guys dream very big, and some of them have had no real job experience. White-collar criminals, those types of people that were in high-end financial crimes or financial industries, whether it be mortgages, real estate, a lot of tax accountants were in there, doctors, attorneys. These guys were extremely nervous because most of them are not going to be able to go back into their profession that they were in prior to going into federal prison, being that their crime was related to their field of expertise, which kind of kicks them out of that area where they're not allowed to conduct that same type of work once released. So they are very concerned with what they're going to do. Some of the biggest ideas that people had that were in prison, a lot of guys were going to go invest in gold. They were going to go invest in real estate, buy and sell cars, get into the trucking business. I would say the most common prepared employment ideas that I saw in prison were people that were considering getting into trucking. Whether they're going to own their own trucking business, whether they're going to be a negotiator as far as setting up the trucking with the freight, the driver with the freight, being like a middleman. There seemed to be a lot of schooling and a lot of classes and a lot of availability to learn how to do that. But a lot of other guys just kind of dreamed really, really big. But when you ask them what their plan is, they didn't really have one. So the best thing that you guys can start doing is, look, if you're going to prison, you need to realize that, yes, it's going to be a struggle when you get out. It's going to be a struggle finding employment, especially right out the gate. Because right out the gate, most of you are going to be in the federal halfway house for a limited period of time, where the halfway house is also going to have additional rules to what you can do, how far you can drive. That is going to create additional roadblocks because they are also going to require that the halfway house, a representative from the halfway house, is going to go out to your potential employer. Whoever decides to hire you has to be willing to meet with a representative from the halfway house who's going to explain to them what your crime was and that you are a convicted felon. And basically the future employer has to sign off on this piece of paper. Maybe some of you have your own businesses, you're self-employed. That can also not necessarily be as easy as it may sound. Having your own business, depending on what type of business that is, where it's located, what you do for work, how it's tracked, are all the taxes being paid? Do you have unemployment? You have L&I? Is all of this set up for your potential own business? Because if it's not, there's a high probability that the halfway house will not allow you to work for your own business if it doesn't have these basic necessities met. So, what are you going to do? Preparing now for what you're going to do and realize that you may have to take a job that you're not necessarily fond of may be the answer temporarily. It's going to, get you out of the halfway house. It's going to allow you to start going home on weekend passes, or they call them social passes, to where you can go home every Friday to Sunday, basically. Most halfway houses are going to require you to have employment before they start allowing you to go home on social passes. Also, most halfway houses are going to require you to have employment before you go on home confinement. Now remember, the halfway houses make money off of you working. They take roughly 25% of your gross income is what goes to them however often you get paid, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly. 25% of your gross income is going to go to the halfway house. That's one of the reasons why they encourage you to work so much, is they want their money, of course. So preparing for that up front, knowing that that's going to be a hurdle, that's going to exist when you get out, is super important, just like all of the other preparation that you should be doing. I just posted a video today. I don't know if you guys saw it, but basically it's explaining what questions you should have for a potential prison consultant if you're considering hiring a prison consultant. These are some average basic questions that you should start preparing yourself for now, so you don't hire somebody and then find out they're not performing services that you thought you were going to get. It's very similar with a lot of you that are hiring your attorneys. You've got attorneys, and then you feel like later on down the road that the attorney's not doing their job. But really, what questions did you really ask your attorney prior to hiring them? Did you ask your attorney if they're going to help you get into RDAP? Did you ask your attorney if they're going to help you with your personal narratives and your character reference letters? So once you find out later on down the road that you spent all this money, or maybe you didn't spend any money because you had an appointed attorney, but regardless, you have only yourself to blame at the end of the day. If you're not doing your homework and you're just blindly hiring somebody because you figure, okay, they're charging a lot of money, they must be giving me good results. Or they're charging a lot of money, they're going to come in on this giant white horse and they're going to slay the federal government to the point where I don't get any prison time. That's typically not going to happen. Now, we do have some cases. We have quite a few cases where we've seen charges dropped, where we've been able to help clients mitigate properly, ask the right questions, and end up with probation. We've had clients that were denied for RDAP because there was no substantial information in their pre-sentence report, where we were able to go in and create an evaluation with a substance abuse professional assisting us and assisting the client, sending this information off to Grand Prairie, Texas, and the RDAP coordinator, and allowing this client to get the overturning of the decision and now getting into RDAP. So we are finding ways and strategies that can benefit most of you if you're willing to work hard. Now, obviously, the best preparation you can do if you're looking to work with a prison consultant is get with the prison consultant early on, prior to your pre-sentence report. Prior to your pre-sentence report, or prior to your plea even. Your pre-sentence report and your plea go hand in hand, because once you take that plea, very shortly after that, you're going to be doing your pre-sentence report, where you're going to be getting interviewed by the U.S. probation officer. That is an important part of this entire process, because that is going to determine so many different factors, from possibly what type of prison you're going to be at, how much time you're going to do, if you're going to be eligible or not eligible for the residential drug addiction program. This is when that portion of the process takes place. So hiring a prison consultant that knows what they're doing and has your interest at heart is going to be able to help you navigate properly and explain a lot of what's coming next, especially where the attorney's not giving you the information. What's going on, Kimberly? Jacob, Jay, what's going on? John, we got everybody in the house. All right, everybody's joining us. Nice to see you guys. So, for those of you that are just joining, we're talking a little bit about everything like we always do, but the main focus of tonight is employment after prison and the reality of that. The reality of employment after prison is a real reality. It is a stress. It's more of an anxiety and stress on the thought of it versus the reality of, will you be able to find a job? There's going to be people out there that are going to tell you absolutely no way are you going to be able to get a job after prison. No one's going to hire a convicted felon. That's why people start committing crimes again, because nobody will give them a chance. That's bullshit. That's a self-defeating thought. I promise you there are plenty of companies out there willing to give you a chance. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there and properly prepare for the hurdles ahead. If you prepare properly, you will succeed. It's that simple. Preparation will equal success in the end. And no matter what you do in life, whether it's prison, employment, whatever, family, any situation that presents itself to you, if you prepare properly for that situation, ultimately you're going to improve your chances for a positive outcome. What's up, Harvey? So we got Harvey. Okay, we got everybody joining us. All right, this is a nice evening. Remember, guys, it's 9/11. This was a very unfortunate day many years ago, so I don't know if any of you have lost family or had friends. It seems like everybody knows somebody that tragically was affected by that devastating day. So my heart goes out to everybody that knows somebody. My heart goes out for the people that we don't know. It was a very tragic day, September 11th. It's a day we're always all going to remember for generations and generations to come. That's why it's important that we band together and we get rid of all this craziness and everybody fighting with each other and blaming. You know, you guys that are watching these videos, most of you are in some real situations right now, situations that you can never imagine being in. Situations where you're facing potential federal prison. Growing up as a child, for a lot of us, that's probably our number one biggest fear. Something tragic happening to somebody in our family or ourselves, you know, dying in a car accident, whatever it may be, or the thought of going to prison because of what we relay that to what we see on TV. So for those of you that are getting ready to go to federal prison, I know that anxiety is real. I know that fear of the unknown is real. But if you've learned anything from these videos, if you are preparing to go to a camp or a low security prison, it is not the end of the world. And just like Mr. Todd Hansen, who is one of our notorious clients, Todd Hansen was one of the first people that put that statement out there that this is an opportunity for an experience. This does not have to be the worst moment in your life. I know there's nothing anybody can tell you that's going to make you feel better, but I'm telling you, when you get to prison, all this fear and anxiety that you have right now goes away almost instantly. We had a client surrender today. He called me yesterday, and he's been doing really well with his anxiety, but yesterday it flared up. You know, the night before, getting ready, his wife, his kids, his brand new baby. You know, these are things that people have. This guy was an attorney. You know, this guy was an attorney for many years who made some mistakes when it came to reporting taxes and where the money went and spending money out of business accounts for personal expenses, not really thinking the ultimate. And he's an attorney. He wasn't a criminal defense attorney, but needless to say, a tax attorney. Making these mistakes, should have known, you would think. Unfortunately, did not know the actual repercussions of his choices and decisions, and he was lucky that his family didn't get roped into it with him, because it was very close. It was very close going on to his wife and his mother also getting pulled into the situation. Unfortunately, or fortunately, he came on very early, so we were able to prepare as best as possible. You know, he was looking at 60 plus months, ended up getting a sentence, I don't have it in front of me. I think it was right around 40 months. He's completely prepared for the residential drug addiction program. He should have no problem getting into the program. We're going to prep him the best we can to put him in the best possible situation to receive additional halfway house. So in a perfect situation, he could be out in under a year, between a year and 15 months. That's not the end of the world. I know it might feel like it at the time, because one day in prison for some people can be that many, too many. But once you get there, you're going to realize that there's a lot of decent people in there just like you. You're going to make friends. You're going to get yourself into a positive routine. And that's the key. Staying positive, moving forward, not dwelling on negativity, and allowing the situation to work for you and not against you. You're in prison, nothing you can do about it. Take advantage of every positive aspect that this has to offer, from reading taking classes, and even if you're already highly educated, even if you already have master degrees, there's plenty of opportunity in prison to learn from other inmates, people that you may have never conducted interaction with in the past. You never know who you're going to learn something from, and that's how a lot of us got into this situation. What's up, Jay? That's how a lot of us got into this situation to begin with. We thought we were know-it-alls. We thought we could beat the system. We figured we could talk our way out of something. How many of you guys in this room have lived your life manipulating situations, talking your way out of situations? Fast talkers. You're in sales. You're in real estate. You're a mortgage broker. You're a stockbroker. You're an attorney. How many people living those lifestyles have always felt they could either pay their way out of something or talk their way out of something? Once you meet the brick wall named the federal government, the BOP, the federal government, the prosecutors, the DEA, the U.S. Marshals, everybody included, what you realize real quick, or maybe not real quick, but what you end up realizing is you cannot talk your way out of that situation. You cannot pay your way out in most cases. There's no manipulating. The lesson you need to take from that is all of this manipulating, fast talking that you've been doing your entire life, probably nobody's been buying it. But people, instead of telling you what you need to hear and creating conflict, are just like, here he goes again. He's going to talk his way out of another bullshit situation. You think you talked your way out of it. Really, people just don't care. They don't care enough to argue with you. They don't care enough to prove you wrong. The feds care. They care enough, and they will spend enough to prove you wrong. Even if you're right, sometimes you'll get proven wrong. This is the lesson that you got to take from this system is what could you have done differently? When you hired your attorney, what questions did you ask your attorney? If you're frustrated with the level of effort your attorney's putting in right now, what questions did you ask your attorney prior to hiring them? Whether you had a free, federally appointed attorney or you had a several $100,000 expensive attorney, what concerning questions did you know to ask them? How prepared were you? Most of us were not very prepared. We freaked out. The government was coming down on us. We figured these attorneys went to school for this. They must know how to combat these situations. What most of us are finding out is that the attorneys are really good at taking a plea from the prosecutor and delivering it to you in a package with a bow tie telling you this is a great plea. You need to take it. And deep down inside, you're like, this isn't what I paid you money for. I paid you money to not go to prison. That's the error that the attorneys don't necessarily explain to you up front. If most attorneys just flat out said to you, you're going to prison, doesn't matter who you hire, you're going to prison. Our only job is going to be to negotiate the best possible outcome for you. And if they're explaining that they're going to negotiate the best possible outcome for you, but they're not putting time and effort into personal narratives, character reference letters, preparing you for RDAP, what goes on during the pre-sentence report interview, sometimes we find out attorneys aren't even with the client during their pre-sentence report, and these clients paid a handsome fee to these attorneys. So now you're in a situation where you're feeling a little bit lost and you're blind and you don't know what direction to go in. So you start looking online and you're like, hey, here's some prison consultants. Let me reach out to them. You start making the same fucking mistakes. You start asking these prison consultants and they start telling you, oh yeah, we're going to guarantee you RDAP. We're going to do this. We've got rabbis in the program that are going to guarantee to get you to the prison you want to go to. And you don't really do any research. You don't check around. They're telling you $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for a consulting fee. And you don't even bat an eye on it because you know how much it costs to hire an attorney. So you're like, all right, I've got a $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 an attorney. What's another $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to a consultant? This must just be what they all charge. Guys, do your homework. I'm telling you, do your homework. G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. It is no joke. If you don't do your homework, you're going to get taken advantage of. There's no need to charge somebody those type of fees. Now, I can't speak for the attorneys, but I can speak for the prison consulting world. I know what goes on in the prison consulting world. I know what can be done and what can't be done. I know what can be promised and what can't be promised. And I'll tell you what, there is no magic wand. There is no special contacts within the BOP that are going to pull strings that are going to make stuff happen. What gets results with a prison consultant is hard work, effort, research, due diligence on your own part as well. All of those things I just named, hard work, due diligence, effort, progress, preparation, has to come from you as well. If you think you're going to hire a prison consultant and sit back and get these amazing results while you're watching Sunday football and dwelling in the corner because you don't think you should be going to prison, and how unfair it is, and how this isn't fair for your family, and your kids aren't going to understand, or they're not going to be able to deal with life without you, and that's where your focus gets stuck. You're making the same mistake you made when you hired your attorney. You're putting too much faith into something or somebody that you know nothing about. That's the reason why I released the video earlier today, the questions that you should ask a prison consultant before making that final decision. Why is somebody willing to pay $10,000 or $15,000? Because they really believe they're getting something different, when all they're getting is a really good fucking sales pitch from a white-collar criminal who went to prison and can no longer conduct business in that field, and now they found a prey to prey upon. They found a victim to prey upon and target them as a white-collar professional. How we can help you prepare for your white-collar preparation defense. When they use the word white-collar in their name, or it's part of their slogan, they are targeting. Don't you see that as a direct advertising targeting mechanism to create an emotion in your mind to make you think that they are some kind of a specialist with white-collar criminals because they know how to play golf? You can't be that gullible. You have to do your homework. Everything that we do and that we prepare our clients for is, for the most part, above and beyond what every other prison consultant out there does. And I don't want to say that in a bragging sense, but Jesus, I'm telling you guys, there's not something that we do not do that another prison consultant does. If anything, it's the other way around. There are a few prison consultants out there that will help you with your personal narratives. And unless they're changing up their game, which I hope they are because of me, I hope that my videos and my price point and our level of service is forcing them to pick up the game a little bit, because maybe they're losing business. Maybe people are realizing that they don't have to pay $10,000, $15,000, and that they can get this for literally a fraction of the price and get somebody that's going to help them prepare, somebody that's going to help them with their personal narrative, somebody that's going to also assist them with character reference letters. Character reference letters is typically something you will not see any other prison consultant focusing on. Why? Because it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to round up your friends and family and get them to focus, get them to write in the manner that needs to be written, and meaning the direction and the focus of the narrative that they're writing for you. We'll get letters back from friends and family and say, we can't use this. We can't even go in and fix this because there's nothing here. There's no substance. It's just saying what a great guy you are. And you don't deserve to go to prison and you go to church. That is not what a character reference letter needs to say. That's why we work so intense with our clients and their friends and family on what goes into these letters. This is why we answer the phone at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I say that because you guys know it. Many of you have called me late night or sent me text messages, and I pick up the phone and call you. You guys call me on Sunday. I answer the phone. You guys call me on holidays when you're freaking out, expecting it just to go to a voicemail, and you want to leave me a message, and I answer the phone. I know what you guys are going through. I use empathy. RDAP taught me a lot of empathy to put myself in somebody else's situation. Not only can I put myself in your situation, I went through your situation. And the fucked up thing is most of the other prison consultants out there that are charging these ridiculous high prices, that is completely knocking all the guys that can't afford and all the women that can't afford those fees, leaving them helpless to the point where they feel like there's no hope and no help. If you went to prison and you got out of prison and you know how to help somebody, I get it that there needs to be a price tag associated to that. And what that price tag should be, I ultimately do not know. Am I charging too little? Maybe. Should I be charging more? I don't know. You guys tell me. But I can tell you right now that with our team of writers, with the level of care and expertise that goes into this, the integrity of what we do reflects every single one of you with your needs, your wants, your concerns, your anxiety, your sleepless nights. We know what it is that you're going through. Everybody that works with us understands this. And if they don't, and if they're not willing to learn, we just brought on 2 new writers. One of them didn't make the cut. They weren't putting enough effort into it. They weren't picking up what we were putting down. They have to understand that this is a life-altering decision for a lot of you. That some of the decision you have control over, some of the decision you do not. What you do have control over is how hard you're willing to work. What you are willing to do. How hard you're willing to push your attorney. When your attorney says, no, we don't want to submit your personal narrative with your pre-sentence report, have him explain to you why not. Maybe he doesn't understand the impact that it could possibly create. The personal narrative will give the U.S. probation officer doing the interview more information to relay to the judge when he makes his recommendation to what he thinks the judge should be doing. That's the point of your pre-sentence report. That is one of the big points of why it's done, is that it's going to create a recommendation to the judge. So if you just walk into this PSR interview and you sit down with the U.S. probation officer and he's taking down some real quick notes, some yes and no answers, and that's what he's going to use to determine what type of person you are, chances are the outcome of that, the illustration of that pre-sentence report, is going to paint a picture of somebody that deserves to go to prison. A personal narrative done right can offset that. Not saying it's not going to say that you don't deserve to go to prison, but it can illustrate some other strong points of accountability, taking responsibility, understanding who your victims are, displaying purpose. We've all heard it. We've all watched these videos, but yet so many people don't take it serious. They do not take it serious. They'll call me up. How much do you charge? What's your guarantee? Am I going to get into RDAP? Can you get me time off? It's like, whoa. The possibility, yes, but what are you willing to do? I can tell you all day long what my fees are and how much I'm going to charge you, but what are you willing to do? You don't just get to decide if I'm going to be your prison consultant. I get to decide if you're going to be my client. If I find out that you're not willing to put in the time and the effort and you're just disregarding everything we ask you to do, we will not continue to work with you. We will let you go as a client and send you your money back because you're painting a picture for yourself that looks like shit. And typically when you put in that kind of effort in this, I can only imagine what kind of effort you put in the real world, in your regular everyday life, that maybe things don't matter as much. If you're going to prison and it doesn't matter how hard or little you're willing to put in, if somebody's giving you direction, if somebody's presenting you a roadmap for success, and you're not willing to follow proven strategies that have shown to work for other clients, if that's not enough to get you or to get a fire lit, there's nothing anybody can do for you. All these sayings that we've all heard in the past, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink. That is completely true. Somebody can present you with all of the tools necessary, but if you're not willing to take advantage of them, they are useless, guys. It's completely useless for you to hire somebody just to sit back. And there's prison consultants out there that know that, that take advantage of that, and they don't plan on doing anything other than giving you a little bit of verbal guidance how to get into RDAP. Quick little one-liners, what to say during your pre-sentence report. That's not the type of service that we want to offer at Federal Prison Time Consulting. It's just not. We care. I know what I went through to get to where I am today. And I tell you guys over and over, there is not a career out there that I could ever imagine doing that doesn't involve this industry with giving back this type of information. because it prevents people from doing drastic things, from hurting themselves, from going on the run, from causing more damage to their family. We can give you basic tools that can allow you to start focusing, working, regrouping, rebranding who you are. A prison coach, a life coach, they go hand in hand, guys. Consulting, coaching, whatever you want to call it, we are here to help put you in a better situation than what you were in prior to finding this channel. That is the whole benefit. If someone can say, I watched 200 videos from Dan and I learned one thing, success. Hopefully most of you will learn more than one thing, but success is in the eyes of the beholder. And if you're not willing to work, chances are you're going to continue to be the victim and you're going to blame your failure on everybody else. And failure could mean going to prison. Failure could mean not getting a job. Failure could mean not getting into RDAP. Failure is open to so many different possibilities. Avoid failure with hard work and preparation. Sounds so simple, but man, it's like pulling teeth sometimes. Robert E. Do banks usually work with people on their home loans if your sentence is short term? I would imagine so, Robert. I came from the world of loan modifications, just like Chris. I don't know if Chris is in the room, but coming from the home of loan modifications, if you contact your bank and you can illustrate actual hardship, financial hardship, which, if going to prison is not financial hardship, I don't know what is. Typically, what they will do is they can put you into a grace period where a forbearance period, a loan modification. So even if you fall way behind on your mortgage, if you're interested, I know people that can assist you with this, that this is what they specialize in, is keeping people in their homes after they've stopped making payments to avoid foreclosure. And then once you're able to start making money again, able to get you into a modification where it brings the mortgage back to current as if you were never behind with to begin with. So these are options that many of you should be taking advantage of. Don't just throw your hands up. If you're going to go to prison for less than 5 years, 5 years average, there's a very strong possibility that you do not have to lose your home. HOAs, things like that, even they're typically willing to work with you. You just have to either have somebody helping you with that or know how to negotiate that on your own. But most banks are very up to speed with that. The whole Obama, what was it? It's been so long since I've been into been in the foreclosure industry, but can't think of it right now. But the act, it was 2004. The home loan assistance. The whole reason a lot of these banks got these giant bailouts was to help people that were falling behind on their mortgages due to interest rates flailing up, the valuation on mortgages dropping, houses not being anywhere near what they were worth when they bought them, people going upside down almost overnight. So there are plenty of programs out there, Robert. You just got to be willing to look for them, reach out, shoot me a text. My phone number is on this screen. If you do need assistance with that, I have some amazing foreclosure defense friends that are still in the industry that can definitely protect your home while you're in prison, or at least give you the best chance possible to do so. Hey, what's going on, Will? Will's one of our clients, guys. Will Power in the house. Will is a gentleman that was actually awarded probation, who was definitely looking at prison time and ended up getting probation. Will was willing to put in the time, the effort, the research. He knew what to expect when he came on board with me. He's now battling with his attorney because his attorney has charged him enormous amounts of money and isn't able to account for where every dime went to. Meanwhile, we've gone above and beyond for Will, making sure that Will had the best possible outcome, but we were able to work so hard for Will because Will was willing to do what was required. When Will called me up saying he was having a bad day or stressed out, doesn't know what to do, Will listened when we talked about, hey man, you can't focus on that right now because this is your life. Worry about the sad shit when you're sitting in prison. Right now, you're fighting. You're fighting for your life. Stop dwelling. Go pick up Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins, and Will did it. Will went and got the book. Clients are telling me every day. I get calls from clients that are like, hey, I just got my book in the mail. I'm like, what book? Oh, you told me in one of the videos to go buy Awaken the Giant Within, and it's the best book I've ever read. I'm telling you, these little seemingly unimportant decisions that can make a difference in your life, this is what you should be focusing on. Not focusing on the sadness of leaving your family behind going to prison. That's sad. I get it. You're going to have plenty of time to dwell on that part of it if you end up in prison. But what you're going to find is thinking about that and focusing on that is only going to make it manifest that much faster into the actual reality that you're trying to avoid. You can't avoid that reality if that's all you're focusing on. Use that focus as fuel to fight. Stand up and fight. Boxers, if they felt like they were just going to lose and they were ready to throw in the towel and just sit there and take hits and throw their hands up, they wouldn't be able to continue. You got to find that power within you that can allow you to push forward and persevere through this hard dwelling negative time. Do all your staff come from Spokane? Have all your staff been in RDAP? Dan, do you ever see yourself going back to school? I do see myself going back to school. I just want to go with purpose. So I'm not sure exactly what for. Something along the lines of chemical dependency in the industry that I'm currently in, I think would make sense. Other than that, all my staff is not in Spokane. We have a lady that works out of New York. We have a gentleman in California, and then we have a couple of people here in Spokane. And not everybody has gone through RDAP. No, some people just had passion, understanding, friends, family. They were in the industry way before I ever got into the industry. Writing, that was one of their professions, was writing personal narratives and character reference letters for people getting ready to go to prison or getting out of prison, understanding what needs to be written to a probation officer, understanding what needs to be written to a judge for asking for early termination on probation. So these expertises have all come together under the umbrella with the main understanding that our main purpose is to help people, not just charge people as much as they're willing to pay. The standard for price in this industry got so inflated because there was nobody else in the industry doing it for a more affordable price until I joined. So I probably pissed off a lot of people, but it is what it is. So guys, that's, getting out of prison, employment after prison. It's only going to be as hard as you make it. Some of you might get jobs right away. Some of you may not struggle at all. Some of you may take a couple of weeks to find a job, but I can promise you it is a numbers game where you get to wherever it is you're going, the halfway house. When you get home, there are resources in everybody's area that helps felons find a job, especially in the halfway house. Most directors of the halfway house, most halfway houses have programs to help people find jobs to where they have lists of employers that are felon friendly from all different types of entry level jobs from basic minimum wage up to corporate level. There's plenty of people that have found ways to succeed both financially and spiritually and physically after prison. And a lot of these people are doing better now than they were prior to going to prison. You're going to learn a lot about yourself in prison. You're going to learn what you're made of. You're going to learn good things, bad things. You're going to be able to see who you really were, and you're going to be able to find out who it is you really want to become. That's the whole process and idea of taking this serious and making this into an experience versus a consequence and a timeout. Take this consequence and turn it into a positive experience, and do not let anybody imprison your mind. Keep your mind going 24/7. When you're working out, stay positive. When you're in classes, stay positive. When that person comes up to you in prison and they're talking negative about how bullshit this prison is, avoid them. Let them know that you don't really care to hear anything they got to say because it's not benefiting. They're not being a part of the solution. They're adding to what is causing the problem. So stay focused, guys. Hey, Dan, does the halfway house hold on to the money you earn? No. Hold on to it? What do you mean hold on to it? I mean, it goes to them. They use it. Oh, the money you earn. I thought you meant the 25%. No, you just have to give them 25% of your gross income. Now, there are halfway houses that work differently to some extent, but I've never heard of a halfway house that doesn't let you have your money. They're going to take their percentage, which is going to be 25% of your gross income, as long as you're in the halfway house. And even some halfway houses even charge that while you're on home confinement. Most halfway houses no longer do that. Once you hit home confinement, you start keeping 100% of your income because your expenses have gone up. What exactly is the halfway house? Halfway house is transition. So Jacob's asking, what exactly is the halfway house? So a lot of people that don't understand or haven't gone through this, or they might assume a halfway house is like a halfway house for drugs or alcohol. It's not that type of a halfway house. It's a transition living house where you're going to transition from prison back to your home. And the halfway house is supposed to allow you to have time to get on your feet, find a job. A lot of people don't necessarily have a place to live. So when you're given 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months of halfway house, the purpose of the halfway house is to give you a spot to live. They give you food. So you're going to get your 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're allowed to go to work every day. You come back to the halfway house at night. You can't just leave the halfway house whenever you want. If you're not working, you're not leaving the halfway house. You can't just decide, I'm going to go have dinner with my family tonight. It doesn't work that way. Everything you do at the halfway house has to be approved ahead of time, usually 7 days ahead. So if you want to go shopping next week to Walmart to buy some hygiene products, some coffee, something like that, you have to have an approval from the halfway house to be able to go on that type of a pass. So a lot of people think, and they hear these questions, or they hear other inmates in prison say, man, the halfway house is no big deal. As soon as you get a job, the halfway house is going to kick you out and send you straight home. Doesn't work that way. The most you can do on home confinement is 10% of your sentence. So if you're sentenced to 60 months and you're given a year halfway house, the most you can do of that 60 months is 10%, 6 months. So the most you can do on home confinement is 6 months. You're going to spend the other 6 months in the halfway house. So all these rumors that you hear that the minute you get a job, they send you home, it is not true. It is not true. I believed it too. I couldn't wait to get to the halfway house because I knew I had a job lined up. And I was thinking to myself, the minute I get into the halfway house, they're going to send me home. I got 11 months halfway house. My sentence was 42 months. I was only allowed to serve 4 months on home confinement. The rest of that time was done in the halfway house. So you have to be prepared for that. No problem, Jacob. You're welcome, Tamara. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight on how that works. The halfway house is no walk in the park. It's not a pleasant experience. It's not nicer than prison. Someone is at the door. Yeah, Shelly just came home. When she honked her horn or did her alarm, the dogs hear it and they go crazy. So if you hear dogs barking in the background, Mom is home. Oh, there she is. Irma survivor. What's up, Brian? Yeah, Irma, South Florida got really dodged a bullet, man. It was looking to hit pretty hard from Miami all the way through West Palm Beach. And last minute, that thing just kept going south, where it ended up doing the west coast of Florida. Unfortunately, the Keys got hit pretty rough. But I'm a South Floridian by heart. That's where I grew up. And it was sad. A lot of family that all evacuated. People spent a lot of money getting out of Florida and prepping for this just to, not have any damage. But it's the price you pay for living in the Sunshine State. You got to worry about hurricanes every year. We've been lucky in Florida because hurricanes have not hit in a long time. And I mean, the last really devastating one was Hurricane Andrew back in 93 or 94. That was really the last devastating hurricane that hit South Florida. 10 years ago, we had a few that came through, but we survived those. They weren't the end of the day. Jay Tabor, what's going on, man? How are you doing? Jay Tabor says, yo, Dan, long time no talk. Absolutely. So anyway, that's a little bit of insight on what to expect after prison, finding employment after prison. Just be willing to put yourself out there. Be willing to realize that it's not going to be a walk in the park. Have realistic expectations. Prepare properly. Check out the video I just posted. If you haven't hired a prison consultant yet and you're considering hiring one and you just don't know, I just posted a video. Go check it out. Prison consulting, how to decide who you're going to hire. It's going to give you all of the questions that you should be asking your prison consultant and what you should be focused on learning. Do not fall for the trap of a prison consultant telling you there is a purpose to pay $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 or $3,500. There is no benefit to paying that much money. You should have learned that mistake when you paid your attorney all of that money just to find out you're still going to prison. Know your audience. Power and questions is education is going to give you the upper hand on negotiating. When a prison consultant can drop his fee from $15,000 to $5,000 or $3,000, that should be such a red flag. If somebody called me, or if I called somebody and said, "How much is your fee?" $10,000. Oh man, I just spoke to so-and-so and he's only going to charge me, $2,000 or whatever. Oh, well, send us an invoice and we'll match his price. You're going to go from $10,000 or $15,000 down to $2,000. How is that possible? Am I getting the same service? Yeah, just don't tell anybody. Of course I'm going to tell everybody because that's fuckery. Stop fucking people, prison consultants. Just because white-collar criminals spent so much money on legal defenses and can afford $10,000 or $15,000 doesn't mean you should take advantage of them and charge it to them when the services don't require that type of a payment. Billy Gomez. Oh, Billy, man. Oh, you're in Tampa. Brother, how are you doing? No lights. Did you got your roof still? You got your roof, your family safe? That's all you can focus on right now, man. You got to, going through those rough times with these hurricanes, you got to find what you're grateful for, and you got to find what you're grateful for, because when you can focus on that positivity and not dwell on the shit that's going on. Sorry, laughing at Jay Tabor. Tamara, sent you an email recently. Did you get it? I will check, Tamara. I doesn't jog my memory like recently in the last couple of days. If you did, I must have missed it. I'll go back and look for it, and feel free to resend it, absolutely. Or shoot me a text with whatever you were asking in your question, or ask your question right here. Jay Tabor. Yeah, guys, so that's really all I had to talk about today. Wanted just to stress the point a little bit that prison's not the end of the road. You don't need to think your life is over. You're not going to have success again after prison. You just got to realize there's a road ahead, and you got to travel it. Many have traveled this road before you. Many will travel this road after you. What we can do along the way, though, guys, is as we learn, we can give this information so the next person doesn't have to travel in the wrong direction. That's the whole point of Federal Prison Time Consulting, LLC, with RDAP is we're putting out information to give you the roadmap to success on a path that you can travel that is going to allow anybody and everybody the success they need to make it through prison, coming out on the other end a better person than what they went in as. That's all we got. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe, share, like this channel. Check out the video I posted earlier today. I love every single one of you. Today is Monday. We will see you Wednesday for Hump Day. If there's any topics you guys want to talk about, post it in the comment to this video. Let me know what you guys like to talk about on Wednesday, and maybe, just maybe, we will choose your topic, or text to 35074 what type of topic you would like to hear. All right, guys, have a fantastic... Wait, we got a comment in here. Sharon, I got fired from 2 waitress jobs when they found out I had felonies. Let's focus on that for a second. So Sharon got fired once they found out she had felonies. That's the whole object, guys, is don't try to go get a job and not tell them, because that's slightly deceitful and misleading. You're not talking about it because you want to pretend like it doesn't exist. Go into places and let them know up front, yeah, I have a felony. This is what I did. This was my crime. And explain to them what it is so they can make that decision. If somebody finds out after the fact that you're a felony, they may feel like you lied or you were deceitful to them, and they may not want to deal with you now. They may not want to give you that second chance. I'm not saying that's what you did, Sharon, but there are people out there. I know people firsthand when I go do these interviews over at the halfway house where I do these mock interviews. A lot of guys are like, well, what if once we get out of the halfway house, we just don't tell people we were ever convicted? Maybe they won't check. Okay, maybe they won't, maybe they will. But what if you get into the job and you really like it and you start getting promoted and now they go do a background check on you and find out you've got this felony attached to you and it just fucking kills everything that you've worked for and you get fired. That is going to be way more devastating and way more frustrating than not getting the job in the first place. If you do what you're supposed to do the right way, look, you went to prison, you earned that badge of wearing this prison badge. You've earned it. You got to tell people about it. You can't pretend like it does not exist. If you do, chances are it will come back to haunt you. Unless you're going to go open your own business. And even in that case, if you're going to be your self-employed, if your potential customers find out you are, an ex-felon, an ex-con, imagine what that could do to your business if you're not forthcoming and open about it. I'm telling you, if you use this right and you market it properly, you can turn this into a positive versus a negative. Everybody knows I'm a felon. That's what my business is based on. My business model is based on being a felon. I just felt like if I did tell them, I'd have no chance. Okay, so Sharon's saying that she felt like if she did tell them, she has no chance. So in RDAP, what that teaches us is to focus on objectivity. She's not being objective there, what she was doing, and I'm not picking on you, Shannon, so don't take it that way. I'm just talking how it is. So a self-defeating thought is when you say something, I felt like if I told them, they wouldn't give me the job. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. You don't know. You're assuming the worst. You're taking on the worst case scenario and assuming it and accepting that negativity, that self-defeating thought. And that right there is what prevents so many people from going out and applying for a job at all, because they're like, what's the point of even applying? No one's going to hire a felon. That's the same thing Shannon's saying when she says, I felt like if I did tell them, I wouldn't have a chance. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But how shitty did it feel, Shannon, getting fired once they found out? You're working there, you're commingling, now it's an embarrassment. Because everybody found out why you got fired. Nobody can keep their fucking mouth shut at a job anywhere. So someone over there is running their mouth going, oh, you hear she's got a felony or she's a convicted felon. And it probably got so blown out of proportion that you're some ex-murderer. That's the story they talk about there. But when you're up front, when I went to my job interview, I didn't end up getting the job because I took a different job. But when I went to Move Fitness, which is a gym here in Spokane, I went there as a job. I went there to get a sales position for memberships. They were a little bit, when they're like, well, I told them right away. Part of, I was in there. I explained myself. I said, look, I'm more than capable to do this job. I can probably outsell everybody in here, but your one issue, if you're going to have an issue with me, is going to be the fact that I just got out of federal prison and I live in a federal halfway house. And you could just see the look in his face like, whoa. And I said, but I don't want you to make your own. I don't want you to make the sole decision just on that, because that's not giving me a shot. I'm telling you honestly that I went to prison. I'm telling you that I paid for my time. I wasn't gone forever. I was sentenced to 42 months. I served 13 months. It was a terrible experience of my life that I wish I could go back and not have done. But I'm sorry for what I did, and I'm here right now asking you for a job. Put me on probation. Watch me like a hawk. If I don't prove you wrong, or if I don't over-exceed your expectations in the first 30 days, then kick me to the door. But if you give me 5% of your confidence, I will earn the rest. I'm just asking you for a shot. If you go in there with that kind of intensity and that kind of energy every time you're trying to get a job, and you don't go, well, I just got out of prison and I don't know how you feel about that. You probably don't even want to hire me now. If that's your attitude, you're not going to get a job. No one's going to hire you. You know why they're not going to hire you? Because you don't have any self-confidence. Self-confidence will get you in the door. Once you're in the door, now it's time to fucking perform. Time to show them that you can do what you said you're going to do. So, self-confidence, knowing your audience, being able to do what you say you're going to do, being able to perform on the spot, that will keep you a job. No, not yet, unfortunately, and I have a lot of skills. Sharon, I promise you, if you just work on your self-esteem and your presentation and how you're going to go in there, and you wear that on your sleeve, about going to prison or your felony or whatever. I don't know if you went to prison or not, but just explaining to them about your felony and letting them know about it up front. Guys, just like little kids, when little kids lie, they get in way more trouble for lying than they actually did for what they did wrong. When they lie about it is the issue. Same thing with adults. When you make that decision to tell them up front, or you make that decision not to tell them up front, you are taking away their option to make a sound decision. I know if you take away my options and you deceive me, I'm less likely to look past that. But if you come to me and say, hey, I fucked up, but I need a chance, and this is what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to work hard. I'm willing to be your number one. When somebody's calling in sick, I'm the guy that you can call. If you're making those statements, make sure you can back it up. But if you're the type of person that's not going to show up to work on time, and you're the type of person that's always going to be late, and you're the type of person that has an excuse and calling out sick because your kid's sick or you have to take your kid to the doctor, and you've got felonies stacked against you, you're going to have a good time getting a job without the felonies. You need to be able to shine. You need to be able to stick out. Your expectations need to be higher for yourself. So Sharon, that's my advice to you. My advice to you is don't let the prison experience define you. Own it. Wear it. And fight. You will get a job. You will get a job, I promise. It's all 99% attitude, self-esteem, motivation. The rest of it is going to fall in place if it's meant to be. Get your foot in the door the right way. Don't sneak yourself in there, because likely what happened will happen again. Learn from our mistakes. If we keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, what is that? That's the definition of insanity. So you don't sound like an insane person, Sharon. You just sound like somebody that's a little bit self-defeated, that maybe has just found reasons not to try, or maybe you've been scared to, or whatever it is. But you just got to shake yourself out of it. Get your coffee, go to the gym. I'm telling you, if you just tuned into the video, go buy the book, Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. I am not a massive book reader, okay? I'm not one to sit there and read novel after novel. I find a couple of good books in my life, I stick to them. When I find another good book, I cling on to that one. That book changed my life. Everything that came from that book pushed me in the direction that I'm into right now. Half the stuff that I talk about on my channel came from that book. That book will allow you to control your destiny, Sharon. It will allow you to make better decisions. It will allow you to focus on consequences. It will allow you to realize what's holding you back in life. And the biggest thing it's going to force you to do is make decisions. Because making decisions on a regular basis is going to create better decisions. The more decisions you make, the better your decision-making skill is going to get, just like anything else. The more times you go to the gym, the more effort you put into learning a craft, you're going to get better and better at it. So if you put effort into making decisions, the decisions may suck at first. You may have some regret with those decisions, but you're going to learn from it and make better decisions. It's like a contract with yourself. Every time you make a decision, you are agreeing to do something. And if you don't do it, you're letting yourself down. So if you're willing to make a decision, be willing to stick to it. That's all I got to say about that. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. We're an hour in. Again, guys, I appreciate you for joining us. I love every single one of you. Federal Prison Time with RDAP, one day at a time. People helping people. Community as method. Have an amazing day, everybody.